With looting having left Eskom powerless and the rest of us in the dark, Green Connection says there's no need for an energy state of emergency or even more bending of laws. Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe has suggested setting up another state-owned electricity public utility to compete with Eskom. Now, the environmental group strategic lead, Liziwe McDaid, says alternatives are available to bring light to the situation. She joins me now for that conversation. And Liziwe, thank you for your time and good morning to you. You stating very clearly that there's absolutely no need for an energy state of emergency. Please elaborate for us.
Well, you see, what we've seen with the state of emergencies is it allows the government to bend more rules. And we are already seeing rule bending. And I think South Africans are now fed up with load shedding. And if we look at what happened in COVID, what we saw was now more looting of a disaster. So now what it appears is we have another disaster, self-imposed, because the people who are responsible for the blackouts that we are experiencing are those in government. So now, having created a crisis, we are very concerned about in whose interest and which way is this crisis going to be solved. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be in the interest of the public.
What you think would be in the interest of the public is implementing a national energy plan instead?
Well, if you look, we have legislation which says that every year we should have a national energy plan which we should tweak and review, and that would involve people of South Africa deciding what sort of energy sources they want. But what we have, and this has been on the books since 2008, all the president needs to do is sign the piece of paper, and then it's there. And if it's there, we, the people, will get to decide. It won't be happening behind closed doors, and we won't be seeing deals on the table like car power ships, etc., where we are going to end up paying, but we have no choice over what energy mix takes place.
But Liziwe, why do you think this is stalling, though? If we already have it in paper as far back as 2008, this integrated energy plan, which needs, the president's go-ahead, why do you think it's still stalling?
Well, you have to ask yourself that it's a hard question, is who benefits from the fact that there's no formal process and no mandatory process for making sure that energy planning happens. What we have instead is these crises, and then in these crises, people jump up and decide that there's some or other plan that we must all follow. Car power ships being one example. And then that also justifies things that we believe should not be happening at all, like offshore oil and gas exploration, because now we have fuel price increases. So if we have a proper plan, we can start looking at that. The future is very uncertain, but it's full of different opportunities. We've got this hydrogen gas popping up. Maybe that's an opportunity. Electric vehicles are being driven by Europe. We produce vehicles. We're going to have to shift them to electric vehicles in order to export and keep those jobs. What are these other opportunities? We need to sit around the table and make these decisions and not leave it up to the dark rooms and the secret corners.
Yeah. When you question who stands to benefits, I know that you've also articulated here some of the, and I quote, unholy alliances that appear to be, behind the obstacles that we're seeing in finalizing a proper energy plan. So take us back now to Shell and how they now come into the conversation, given what we know through the media as well, is a 50 million rand, donation to the ANC through the Batho Trust.
So I think what we need to look at is the Zondo Commission, where it was very clear that political party interests of the ruling party have been put ahead of the national interest. And that has been raised as a huge criticism. And then we join the dots and we see that Shell tries to drill the ocean off the Wild Coast, despite the communities around their objections. And the Minister of Energy comes down on the side of Shell in the court case. And then we see that Shell has given some donation through the Batho Trust. Those are dots that need to be joined. We must also know that Shell also has a contract to supply fuel to car power ships. So who's benefiting? It's not the public.
And that's the question that should be continued to be explored. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Green Connection Strategic Lead, Liziwe McDaid, thank you so much for talking to us this morning.